Hello all, welcome back. In this video, we are going to look at Azure DNS, and this is the third lesson in this module. If you look at the overview of this lesson, we'll look at what are domains and custom domains and how to verify those domains. Then we'll look at Azure DNS zones delegations, and we'll look at private domains followed by a demonstration. So whenever we are creating a new Azure subscription, what we need is an Azure Active Directory domain. And if there is no existing domain, a new domain will be created for us. And let's say if our organizational name is Contoso Gold, the default domain which is created is contosogold.onmicrosoft.com. So that is the initial domain name which is created by Azure Active Directory. And we have an option to add a custom domain as well if we choose to do so. Say for example, instead of the long and default customgold.onmicrosoft.com, if you want to use shorter name something like contosogold.com, we can add that as a custom domain, and we need to prove to Azure that we own that domain. And once we verified our ownership, then we will be able to use that custom domain for other purposes. Now coming to proving of ownership, we can do this by adding a DNS record with our DNS registrar, and Azure can query that DNS record. The value which we need to add will be provided by Azure when we add the custom domain in the Azure portal, and they will provide either the text record or MX record which need to add, and the destination or the point to address will be provided. And we need to add this with our DNS registrar, and it may take up to a couple of hours to several hours as well based on the DNS replication. And once that is successfully replicated, Azure will automatically query it and our domain will be verified. So Azure has a service called Azure DNS, and this Azure DNS hosts the DNS records of a domain. And we have what we call DNS Zone, and we can create multiple DNS zones as per the requirement, and we can provide any names. Say for example, we have adatum.net in this particular example, and we can create even the same name in different resource group as well. But the constraint here is that we can't create same DNS zones within the same resource group. So there might be only one adatum.net inside a resource group. Even if we create multiple adatum.net DNS zones, they might be assigned to different name servers. But at the end of the day, if we want to expose or that adatum.net to the outside world, we might need to get registered or configured with the DNS registrar, and in that case we can register only one adatum.net. Once we have the DNS zone, we create something called a DNS record set. So a DNS record set is a collection of record inside a zone, and it might have the same name or type. Say for example, we might have a, a record or the CNAME, etc. And we can add up to 20 records in a record set, and the constraint again inside the record set is that we can't have identical entries, and based on the type of the record set which we add, uh, the information required will change automatically. So now we have created a zone and a record set and another multiple records. When we want to use this for external purposes, we need to register, or we need to configure it to the outside world. There are two type of DNS zones which we can use. One is for the uh, root domain or the NAC domain, and in this case we need to register it with our DNS registrar. So we will have name servers listed for each and every DNS zone, and as you see in the picture, uh, there will be different name servers for each different top level domains. Say for example, we have four domains here, one for .com, .net, .org and .info. So whenever we are trying to delegate this DNS zone, we need to register these name servers with our parent registrar or the DNS registrar, and whenever there is a query for that parent domain or the top level domain, we will get those information with our name servers. But for example, if we are trying to use this for our child domain, say for example, instead of contoso.com, if you are planning to use separate zones for internal.contoso.com, then we might need to register this DNS with the parent domain. For example, we might need to register with contoso.com. We can use Azure DNS for private domains as well, and we can use any custom domain as we want. And the main advantage here is that we can use it for name resolution inside a virtual network. Say for example, when we are trying to deploy a virtual machine, we can automatically register the name of the virtual machine in the Azure DNS, and other virtual machines can query those name resolutions. And this process is automatic, and there is no need to do any manual configurations. Hence, we don't really need to deploy any custom DNS solutions. And this capability is available across the regions, and it supports all DNS entry types. When we are using a custom DNS for private zones, so there are two scenarios available. One is what we call a registration VNet, and other is something called resolution VNet. So there will be only one registration VNet for a private zone, and whatever we are deploying inside this registration VNet will be automatically updated, either it be addition or deletion, and we can attach multiple resolution VNets for the private DNS as well. So there might be one registration DNS and there might be two or three resolution VNets for the private DNS. And in the resolution DNS, we can only query the DNS names, but we can't update it from um, the resolution VNets. And other thing to note is that the registration VNet supports both forward and reverse DNS queries. So, for example, we can uh, query the IP address of the VM using the host name and vice versa. But whereas with resolution VNets, we can just query the forward-looking DNS. And since this is private DNS, it's not accessible from the internet. Now we will switch back to a demonstration to see how we can create a DNS zone and record set, and we can view that information from PowerShell, and we'll look at how to check DNS metrics as well. So now we are into Azure Portal. We'll create a new resource group. Let's call this resource group as DNS RG, and we will choose East US region, and we will click on review plus create, and once the validation is passed, we click on create, and a new resource group has been created. And under this resource group, we click on add, and we search for DNS, and we select DNS zone, and we click on create, and we will provide the name of the DNS. Let's call it internal.contoso.com, and we click on next. There is no tags required, and we click on create. So this will go ahead and create a new DNS zone, and once that is created, we can see how we are going to add DNS record sets. One thing to note is that since this is also an Azure resource similar to like virtual machines or databases, we can use other scenarios like role-based access control with Azure DNS as well. Now the deployment is successful. We can go to the resource and we can see the information, and in addition, as we discussed in the slides, we have 4 name servers available, one for different top level domains .com, .net, .org and .info, and whenever we are delegating this with a registrar, we should use all those 4 name servers. We can see the default record sets, and if we want to add a new record set, we can click on record set, and let's call it a record, and we choose to add an a record. Since this is not CNAME by default, it had set alias record as no, and we can customize our TTL as well. by default it's 1 hour, and we can map the IP. Just for demo purposes, I'll use 1234. So it's not a valid IP, just for demonstration I'll use this. And once we create OK, we have successfully created an record set called a record. Now we will see how we can view this information from PowerShell. So now we are into PowerShell. I have created a new variable called RG and mapped it to the resource group. And we can use the commandlet get Azure DNS Zone to view the information about DNS, and we can pass the name of the DNS zone. So now if we see the output, we get the information like name servers and how many record sets are there, is it public or private DNS. We got all this info. If we specifically want to look at DNS record set information, we can use the commandlet az DNS record set, and we can pass the zone name, and then we'll be able to get the information. And if we see the output, we are able to see the record set which you have created with the IP address 1234 and other two record sets which was already there. So we can see all those information. And if we want to specifically look at name servers, we can do that as well. But instead of just passing the zone name, we need to specifically query for record type as name server. So we can use the commandlet get az DNS record set, and name of the record set and record type is name server, and we can pass the zone information. So this will retrieve the name server records, and we are able to see it in the output. So we have all those four name server records. Now we have successfully added a new record in the Azure DNS. We will switch back to Azure Portal and see how we can do name resolution. For that, I'll open a Cloud Shell and we can use DNS lookup, and we have created record called a record dot internal dot contoso.com, and since we haven't registered with our DNS registrar, it won't work from internet. But if we specifically pass on the name servers, we will be able to resolve it. So I'll use the first name server, and we are successfully able to get the DNS resolution. So that's how we can use it. But once we registered this DNS zone with our registrar, then we don't need to pass the name server specifically. And the final thing to note is that there are capabilities for accessing the metrics, and we have few metrics to select. If we see the drop down, we can choose the query volume or record set capability utilization and record set count. So in this example, I choose the query volume, and based on our DNS queries, since we have just now queried from Cloud Shell, so we are able to see the count of the query to 1. And if there is continuous traffic, this dashboard will be updated. So this is similar to all other Azure metrics, and we can customize those information and we can pin it to our dashboard. So that's all about Azure DNS, and let's meet in next video. Thank you.